Hello, everybody. Hello. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the streams for a brand new streaming week. What a week it's going to be. So much great stuff going on this week in the realm of gaming that I'm very excited. I hope you guys are too. So much good stuff coming up. Welcome back, everyone. First of all, I was off yesterday. I was not here live on the stream because I had my day off for the week, and it was an interesting day. We'll talk a little bit about that here in a moment. Both of the stuff that I did in person and stuff virtually online that was going on in the realm of game news. Huge day yesterday where all the Ghost of Tsushima reviews were allowed to be posted because the review embargo had lifted. And, of course, all the stuff that happened with that, which we'll talk about today. And I'm excited to be back and continue on with the quirkiness of Deadly Premonition 2, which is what we were playing all weekend long, and we will continue to play today. Now, it's funny because people have told me this game is like 20 hours long. Well, if you actually do the math, I've played it for about 15 hours. I seriously doubt that with the very limited story development that we've actually had in the game, that I'm going to beat it today or tomorrow. Like, realistically, I don't foresee that happening. Unless the story somehow races to the end, I've got 2 side missions to finish. I got to trade in the mission where I found all the hidden symbols in the city. I've also got to trade in the mission where I killed all the killer bees. All right, once I trade those in, there's really nothing else to do until I guess it's like 2 more days pass, and then you can get the rice and beans dish or whatever. It's really silly, but you need to do like get some kind of a special dish from the diner that then allows you to get the can of, I forget what it is, but you need another piece of food, and then you can go back to the church and progress with the story. So we're gonna see what happens today. I want to definitely trade in the 2 side things I finished. We can figure out how. And then we're going to be, advancing the story, and I'm hoping to get good advancement in the story today, quite frankly, because we did not have any story advancement last stream. It was just going around doing all the side content. All right, so we'll see what happens. It should be fun. I'm excited. I hope you guys are excited. And then later tonight, we're going to be doing some Fire Emblem 3 Houses. All right. Tomorrow, more Deadly Premonition 2. Final day of, just majorly playing this game for a week straight. And then tomorrow night, my weekly throwback Street Fighter stream, which usually is Friday night, but this week it's on Thursday for good reason, because this coming Friday is a double new release day, everybody. 2 new releases coming out that we'll be checking out together. It's going to be Ghost of Tsushima on the first gameplay stream and Paper Mario and the Origami King on the late stream. Then, on Saturday, there will be more of that. We're going to do exactly the same thing. More Ghost of Tsushima and then more Mario. Sunday, we can either do it again, or if people want to flip the streams and we say, hey, we'd like to see a little bit more Mario rather than Ghost, we could do that. I'll play it by ear. But Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday is just going to be a balance between those 2 games to get pretty far into them for this launch weekend for both of them. Okay? Then, of course, Tuesday is going to be my day off of this coming week, and then after that, it all depends. Like, do you guys want to go back to Deadly Premonition 2? Do you want to do Ghost of Tsushima more? Do you want to see Paper Mario more? And we're going to balance that next week out like that. In addition, that next week has some special stuff going on. Because if we continue on with this awesome positivity and the vest streak continuing, meaning we hit the tip skull every stream, a week from this Friday will be Vestival 200. The 200 vest celebration after wearing the vest 200 times during live streams. All right. Then it will be the special celebration. Now, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff during the special celebration, including, listen up, a live DSP tries it, of which you guys are giving me many ideas, and I'm thinking about which one will be the best one. There's sriracha cheeseburger and mini tacos over at Jack in the Box. There's a frosty chino at Wendy's. There's a giant pepperoni and cheese pizza at Papa John's. There's a grilled cheese burrito at Taco Bell. And that's just a few of the things that we've talked about. Okay? There's also going to be a really awesome not recap, a preview segment for the rest of the year. I'm gonna go through the months of August, September, October, November, December, all the game releases coming out for the rest of the year, and we're gonna talk about them in a preview fashion, so you guys know exactly what to expect and what I'll be covering on my streams, because we're finally gonna have a lot of solid release dates. We just started to get some solid release date information, and I would like to go through that and let you know exactly what I'm expecting to be covering. Sorry, I'm yawning today because this morning at 7 in the morning, Jasper woke up and decided he wanted to yak up a hairball, which is always delightful when you're in the middle of a nice, restful sleep after a tiring day out. I was out and about all day yesterday with my wife, and I'm getting a good, restful sleep. I have to wake up at 7 in the morning for Jasper to hack up a hairball, and I got to clean it up. So, a little tired today. In fact, I did drink a coffee already. I had to. I was like, when you get disturbed from your sleep like that, you lose the restfulness that you were getting. And so, we'll see what happens. Hopefully, I'm not super tired all day long. But I did have a muffin this morning, which was good. I had a Costco muffin for the first time since, like, January. My wife and I went to Costco, and we went, midday on a Tuesday. It wasn't busy, which was great, and they had a lot of stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute because now I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to talk about my day out, and I definitely have gotten ahead of myself. All right, anyway. So during this festival celebration, we'll be previewing the schedule for the rest of the year. And then we'll also be a segment with Jasper showing up and hanging out and playing with us. There's definitely going to be an open Q&A segment where we just have a lot of fun talking with each other. Outside of that, I'm not sure what else we're going to do in the festival yet, but there will be a special something. There's a special something that I've ordered for this festival. So I hope you guys are excited for that, okay? All right. So anyway, that's going to be a week from Friday, so that would be the 23rd. And then the final week of July, all right, as we're probably trying to wrap up Ghost of Tsushima and Mario, and by then I'm assuming Deadly Premonition 2 will be done. There's a new game, Destroy All Humans Remake. Destroy All Humans is a franchise that apparently has a cult following, but I've never played it. And people have asked me over the years many times, will you ever go play it? And I'm like, nah, I don't know too much about it. But if there ever maybe is a reason to, and now it seems like this would be the reason to. Simply because it's being remade for modern consoles. Okay? So, I'm excited. And it should be a good month, the rest of this month, okay? Thank you for your ongoing support here on the streams. Now, let's talk a little bit about yesterday. What did I do when I was out? Well, first of all, yesterday was actually quite a warm day here in Washington State. In fact, the weather people out here have been saying that this year is the coolest summer we've had in a ridiculously long time. Like, super cool summer. Haven't really had many summer temperatures at all. Well, yesterday, all that flipped on its head. We finally had a hot summer day. There was not a cloud in the sky, and my wife and I went out to celebrate. Having a nice day off together and doing stuff. It was a mix of fun and, chores and the like. I would love for us to just have a day one week where we just go out and do fun stuff, but that's the problem is this is the only day off that we have all week to do stuff together, so we end up kind of having to do a mix of errands and fun stuff. So I went grocery shopping in the morning, as I've been doing. I don't go at the crack of dawn anymore. Now I actually get up around the normal time that I would get up for a streaming day. And there were more people in the grocery store for sure. At the same time, though, they had everything I wanted. So it seems to me the whole hoarding crisis is over. Thank God, because it all started back in March. And people were so dumb going out and buying and hoarding shit when there was absolutely no need to just because they're idiots. So all that seems to be over with now. You can get whatever you need at the store, which is good. Except antibacterial stuff like, spray and stuff still doesn't seem to be around. Which is hilarious. Because, I don't know, people think they need to constantly be disinfecting their entire houses or something. When all they need to do is wash their hands. I don't get it. But, anyway. Outside of that, got everything I needed. Then, had some food with my wife while we were out. And I hate to say it, but sadly, some places during this pandemic have held up better than others. Let's put it that way. Like my wife and I in the past few weeks, as things have started to reopen in phases here in Washington State, we've been to a few restaurants where the food was great and everything was good. Yesterday we went to a restaurant where it was incredibly disappointing. Like we had been to this restaurant before, more than a few times in the past before the pandemic. And this restaurant had always been crazy good. We went there and first of all, they tell us, oh, we used to serve this bread, complimentary bread that you would get no matter what. Oh, we did away with that. That's discontinued now. You can't get it anymore. I'm like, well, can I buy it? Can I, pay for it? We really love the bread. No, we don't have it anymore. Do you have anything similar? Nope, we did away with it. Oh, okay. So then we order our dinner, and used to be you get like either soup or salad and then two sides with your dinner. Nope. Now you just get a choice of 2 anything. Like, so, wait a minute. So that means I can get just 2 sides, or I can get a soup or a salad and a side. Yes. So they reduced the number of sides you get, but they didn't reduce the prices of the meals. And then the meals came out, and they were terrible. My wife said her meal was super dry. Hated it. My meal, I ordered, I tried to not go crazy, so I just got fish and chips. Right? I'm going to get some fish and chips. Okay? Well, when it first comes out, it kind of looks good because it's 4 pieces of fish, like battered fish. I cut into it. I swear to God, it's all batter and air. There's like almost no fish in this thing. And I'm like looking at it and I'm like, what am I like? This is supposed to be serious? And I'm like, seriously, I'm like trying to scrape out the few tiny pieces of fish that are in the middle of this thing. And I'm like, I haven't had fish and chips in a long time. I usually get it maybe once a year tops when I'm in the mood for it. And it was just a summertime food. I'm like, oh man, fish and chips is a good thing you think of. They're kind of during the summertime. Maybe I'll have it. It was so bad. And it's weird because some other restaurants we've gone to, no lie, it almost seems like their quality went a step up during this pandemic. Like maybe they really were hurting for the business and they were like, man, we really need to present the best food possible in order to get butts in seats, right? And of course, cleanliness and everything. In this case, it was completely the opposite. The food was just bad. And we were very disappointed. Very, very disappointed. And then also, they give you a drinks menu. And you're like, okay, well, maybe I'd like this. Oh, we don't have that. Wait, what? You just handed me a drinks menu that has this on there. We don't have that. Can I have this one? We don't have that one either. I was like, well, what do you have? And I'm serious, the server walked to the manager and they sat there for 5 minutes because they didn't know. And then they finally came back and said, okay, we have like half of the menu. I was like, all right, this is terrible. So it's weird because, it seems, like I said, some places seem to be doing all right, or at least are really making an effort restaurant-wise to improve to get people to come back after this pandemic lockdown, and others just seem to have fallen apart at the seams. So we ended up having a really disappointing dinner yesterday, especially for what we paid. This is a place that usually we would go there and get a great quality, like I said, free bread and all these sides and things. And it was just like, well, I don't think I'm coming back here at this point. It was such a bad experience, So anyway, that was one thing. Now, also while we were out, we went to Costco for the first time since January. Because, it was January when we last did a big group shopping trip. What we do is you go there, you buy all the commodities, right? You buy paper plates, you buy paper towels, you buy, toilet paper, tissues, and then you could buy big bulk frozen things. Like we would buy big ass bag of frozen vegetables, and you use that to make like stir fry stuff with. Okay. Well, obviously during the pandemic, that was the last place we wanted to go. We knew it would probably be crammed wall to wall with people trying to buy stuff on the cheap. So we purposely waited a long ass time before going back. And surprisingly enough, they had almost everything. It didn't seem like they had full stock on everything, but they had almost everything that normally we would go for. Again, the one exception is that they didn't really have like antibacterial anything. Like normally we would go there, we would get like maybe Clorox or Lysol wipes or some kind of disinfectant, cleaner for the house. They had none of that. That's like peripherally, eternally, always on back order. No matter what, they don't have it. No matter what store you go to. Again, these people who are fucking, I guess, cleanliness nuts are apparently constantly sitting at their homes scrubbing them with antibacterial cleaner instead of washing their hands like they should. and then they wouldn't get sick. They're not that smart. But it wasn't that bad. You know, it wasn't a bad trip. And I'm pleased that we went because now, I'll be honest with you guys, I've been talking about this during the pandemic. Basically, the whole grocery shopping thing has been way more expensive because you can't go to a place like Costco or whatever, so you got to buy those commodities at a much higher price point in a much smaller quantity at the local grocery store. And in addition, the cost of food has gone up. For sure, like the cost of meat and stuff like that has gone way up during this pandemic. And so, finally being able to go back to Costco and buying a giant thing of toilet paper and knowing I'm probably not going to need to get toilet paper again till like the end of the year because this thing is like 30 plus giant fucking rolls, right? That's good. It saves a lot of money. I'm like, wow, this will be good. Now I don't have to every week be going and spending a ridiculous amount of money at the grocery store. So that's a good thing. And got those Costco muffins, man. Costco muffins. Everyone talks about them. If you're gonna get a baked good at Costco, you get the Costco muffins. If you're gonna get food at Costco, you get the pizza, right? Well, I've never had the pizza, but those muffins are crazy good, man. Crazy good. I just had a chocolate one today, chocolate muffin. And the one problem with Costco muffins, you have to buy two 6-packs. So basically a dozen muffins. You have to buy that many. Because if you don't, they still charge you full price for one pack. Basically, the way they do it is buy one, get one free. So you have to do that. So I think we got like almond, poppy, and chocolate. The problem is they go bad in like 3-4 days. And so you have to eat them really freaking fast. So I already had a chocolate muffin this morning. Maybe tonight for a snack, I'll have an almond poppy, So at least we can get through these within like 3-4 days. We can eat as many as we can before they start to go bad. So anyway, so that's kind of what we did yesterday. Also being out and about, it was very hot. First day it's been very hot in the summer. So we had the air conditioner on in the car and everything. And, we had the air conditioner on in the house. We actually needed it because it was super duper hot yesterday. And today as well, supposedly it's supposed to be in the 80s here. 80 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, again, it's abnormally warm. So, you need the air conditioning. If not, the house would be like really stuffy and bad. So, but it's supposed to cool down again this weekend, so that's a good thing. So anyway, that was my day off, in person at least. Now, let's talk about what was going on in the world of gaming, because it was a very interesting day in the world of gaming, to say the least. So the review embargo for Ghost of Tsushima was lifted, and everyone who had gotten an early pre-release copy of the game put out their reviews, of course. The practice that I completely disagree with, but I guess we got to live with, because it ain't going to change, right? Interesting mix of reviews. Most reviews very positive, saying that the game is quite good. Some reviews more conservative. I didn't really see many like blatantly negative reviews about the game at all. It was either like kind of moderate to good, very good. Some of the things that people are saying are good and bad about the game. The good things are that basically, this was actually interesting to me because this one actually made me feel very hopeful for the game. They're basically saying this game plays like Assassin's Creed, old school Assassin's Creed. So let's say Assassin's Creed 2. Okay, with the stealth elements and the like. Now, it's open world, so you could go around and everything, but you need to use stealth to your advantage, and it's really like the old school Assassin's Creed games in that regard. It's basically what you've been craving if you liked the old Assassin's Creed games before they went open world and completely changed the combat up like they did in Origins. So that, in my opinion, might be very advantageous for them, because a lot of people have been looking for that kind of gameplay, and we haven't gotten it. Because Assassin's Creed, we just talked about this the other day, Assassin's Creed saw the popularity of Witcher 3, okay? And I should say Ubisoft saw the popularity of The Witcher 3 and how much money it made and how everyone absolutely loved that game with its open world structure, its meaningful side content, etc. All right? And they saw the decline of their own Assassin's Creed games with games like Unity and Liberation, and they were like, man, maybe we're doing things wrong. We should maybe just jump on the bandwagon of, you know, what people are being popular with. So they did. They completely changed up Assassin's Creed from being stealth based to being this open world exploration RPG. And not to say that it's a bad game anymore, but it's nothing like the original games, and a lot of people have criticized both Origins and Odyssey for that ginormous change. Well, a lot of people are saying, well, why can't we get back a game that's like the classic Assassin's Creed? You know, this is what we came to know and love with this IP, and we want it back. It's stupid that you just took it out completely. You know, we understand you want to make more money, so make a new series that's different, but then keep making the classic games that we like too, right? And they didn't do that. Instead, they just kind of abolished the old formula and changed it up completely to this new thing. So it seems to me that Ghost of Tsushima may capitalize on this. All right. I've also heard the game's about 20 to 30 hours long story-wise, but 50 hours long if you do all the side content. So that's good. It means that there's going to be massive replayability. And you guys know me. I usually will go and look at the side content, at least if it's meaningful. You know, if there's an actual story attached to it, and it seems like it's something interesting, and you get something good out of it, I'll do it. If it's, go kill 20 generic enemies and come back to trade in for 500 gold pieces, I'm probably not going to do it. That's shit from early MMO days, and I'm definitely not going to be wasting time on that kind of crap. Okay? So, also, heard the game is visually stunning. Some of the most beautiful graphics ever, because unlike The Last of Us 2, that was post-apocalyptic, not to say the graphics weren't great, because they were, but now you're in, like, feudal Japan, and you get to see these amazing, you know, naturescapes and gorgeous, you know, visuals of everything, and people are basically taking pictures of the game and saying it's like the most picturesque game ever made, at least up to this point. The game apparently has some really nice modes. I guess there's a mode where you can play the entire game in like black and white with like special voiceovers, and it feels like an old school Japanese movie. Thing is, I never watched any of those. Like, I know the samurai films are just as popular in Japan as the spaghetti westerns were popular here in the United States, right? But I never saw a Japanese film like that. I haven't. I've never seen a samurai film. So for me, that's kind of got lost on me, because I'm not going to understand if it actually looks like an old school movie or anything like that. So, you know, I guess we're going to see on Friday, but that's all the positives that I've heard about the game. Okay, now here's some of the negatives from the reviews. Okay. Some have criticized the side content of the game, saying that it could be very repetitive. It's not as good as other games. Like, at first, someone had said, it's just as good as Witcher 3. Well, it seems like a lot of reviews are coming out saying, no, it's not. There is side content. It's present. It's good that it's there. But a lot of it will seem repetitive and not meaningful, which kind of sucks. You know, because that means that it's just kind of it's kind of what happens with every open world game, is that it goes down to these repetitive formulas of do this a million times, do this a million times. That's kind of how a lot of these open world games are. And it seems like a lot of people did say, yeah, that the game does fall victim to that. Some others have said that basically the game tries to emulate other open world games that have been great, but it takes element from great games. So you're going to see, you know, things from Horizon Zero Dawn. You're going to feel stealth mechanics from Assassin's Creed 2. But never does the game ever hit any of the highs of those other franchises. Which is hilarious, because I criticized Horizon Zero Dawn and said, that's exactly how I felt about that game. That game wasn't bad at all, but there was nothing ever in the game that I played that I was like, wow, I've never done this in another game, and this blows me away. It's something unique. It didn't. It felt like that game just took elements from other games and taped them together to make a final product, in which I would have liked something a lot more original. Okay? Well, that's kind of what they're saying about this game. Now, I don't know if I necessarily even agree with that, only because this game is set in feudal Japan and you're a samurai. And have we really done that? I mean, you could argue and say, well, what about Sekiro? Well, that's totally different. That was like a Dark Souls game. You know, this is certainly not Dark Souls in any capacity, this game. It's not made to be something crazy like that. It's meant to be a stealth samurai game, not parry everything a million times with head-up combat against mini-bosses and crazy over-the-top shit. You know, it's not like that at all. It's supposed to be way more realistic. compared to that. And then, of course, you got Neo. But again, same thing. Is it set in feudal Japan? I mean, yeah, but there's demons and there's this crazy combat system. And it doesn't seem like that's what they're going for here. This seems like completely different gameplay elements. All right? And so it does seem to me like there will be some good, like, originality and first-time stuff. And that was actually another one of the big positives. People were like, if you really like Japanese culture and you've been waiting for a realistic game set in feudal Japan, this is your game. That other games, have touched upon it and had elements of it, but this game, they really went all out to try to make it like that, which is cool. So for me, hearing all these reviews, reading all this, I'm like, okay, so it's good. It's definitely going to be a mixed bag, but for me, it seems like it will be leading more towards a positive. Because, number one, all right, it will be original. As much as they say it took things from other elements, at least it's going to be set in a unique place, gorgeous visuals, you know what I mean? Like, realistic style gameplay. It seems like it's going to be good in that regard. Something different instead of just the same shit over and over like we've had in other games. Also, Assassin's Creed stealth kills and stuff returning is a good thing. Like, I'll be honest, I'm not good at stealth, but playing those old school Assassin's Creed games, whenever you could get stealth kills going, sneak up, go through a house, go behind a guy, take him out, poison the guy next to him, walk away. That was cool. That was good stuff that we've now lost. Because for whatever reason, they decided to go into an action-based game genre now because they wanted to capitalize on Witcher 3, right? So it's good that they actually kind of picked up on that and tried to bring back that kind of an element to a game. I don't want a game where it's going to be you against 25 enemies at once and you're miraculously able to dodge and parry every one of them and somehow overcome the odds. That's ludicrous. If this game's going to be realistic, then it needs to be, okay, you really got to take advantage of your environment. You got to try to sneak up, take out as many as you can. Yeah, maybe you have to do head-up combat on a few of them, and that's fine. But not ridiculousness of, gung-ho fighting a million guys, right? So, I don't know. We'll see what happens, okay? But here's the thing, and I did say this on social media, and of course it caused controversy. I don't care. I'm just going to briefly cover it on my pre-stream today, all right? Reading the reviews of Ghost of Tsushima and how the mainstream media, who all got early copies of this game, treated it and reviewed it, I will say this. It seems to me, in general, this game was reviewed very fairly, all right? When I'm actually reading the reviews and watching the video reviews and I'm looking at the scores for Ghost of Tsushima, it seems like people approached this with a level head. They actually had no agenda behind what they were doing. And they actually wanted to just be fair and say, okay, here's what we experienced, and we're going to weigh and balance. And some people are going to weigh things differently. Like some people who really are tired of open world games with repetitive style gameplay were very upset and were looking for something different, and they said we can get it, and then they reviewed it like, 6 out of 10. While other people were like, it didn't bother me that it follows that formula because there was enough uniqueness to it that it felt like it was a new game. I didn't feel like I was playing the same games again from the past, so I give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Okay? Excuse me. So, that being said, I'm reading the reviews, I'm like, this seems pretty fair. And then I'm like, gee, so I'm sorry, but I gotta call this out. What happened a month ago, man? What happened with The Last of Us 2? Seriously. How is it that when you go back and you can just read a review. I challenge you, if you don't believe me, go read a review from the same media outlet that gave Last of Us 2 a 10 out of freaking 10. Okay? Read that review from that same media outlet and now read the review of Ghost of Tsushima, and it feels like it's written by a completely different methodology. It really is. It seems like one of two things happened with The Last of Us 2. Either these mainstream media outlets reviewed the game and said that it wasn't perfect, but then gave it a perfect score anyway, right? Okay, here's some things about the game that we wish were better, but it's a 10 out of 10. Well, then no. If you outright said something in this game should be improved, it's not 10 out of 10. And it's irresponsible as part of mainstream gaming media, or a journalist, I should say, to actually review a game as perfect. That's not. Now, some people will argue with me forever on this point, and they'll say, well, the rating score isn't necessarily meaning perfect, and over the years, gaming outlets and journalists have argued and said that saying a game is 10 out of 10 does not mean it's perfect, but it is basically the best in that genre, and blah, blah, blah. And you know what I say to that? Bullshit, cop out, wimpiest answer possible, because mathematically, 10 out of 10 is 100%. 100%. It's scientifically, mathematically, 10 out of 10 means a whole or perfect. That is the highest score. You can't get 11 out of 10. It wouldn't make sense to give a game 11 out of 10. The highest score you can give a game is 10 out of 10. That means that's the best. Flawless. You can't even imagine that a game could be possibly better. Just because, all right, just because media outlets, journalists over the last, 20 years have irresponsibly used 5 stars, 10 out of 10 as a way to just say they love a game instead of saying the game is perfect doesn't forgive the fact that they misused it, and it doesn't change math. That's like saying, well, I know someone who their whole life said 2 plus 2 is 5, so since it's just always been that for that person, then 2 plus 2 is 5. No. Just because someone doesn't fucking understand math doesn't mean that changes math. 10 out of 10 is perfect. If you say Last of Us 2 is a 10 out of 10, you're saying the game is perfect. Okay? So, any single person who put out a 10 out of 10 review but said the game wasn't perfect is an irresponsible, unprofessional journalist whose opinion should never be taken seriously again, and no one should allow them to review a goddamn thing. That's my opinion. All right? But I'm just being mathematically sound here. You cannot say a game is perfect if it's not. I have never given a game a perfect score because every game I've played since I started reviewing games, I've always felt there was room for improvement. I've gotten some pretty damn close. I've not a few 9.75s. Okay? But I've never given a game a perfect score because I feel that would be irresponsible. I've never played a perfect game yet. If ever I play a game and I feel it's the best in class genre, and there's no way in my imagination that you could make the game better, I will give it a perfect score of 10 out of 10. But I will only do that if that ever happens, and that's never happened. So that's because I'm responsible. And I know that when I give a game a review score, you guys listen. You guys trust that opinion to be something you're going to base a purchase off of. It's not, oh, I'm a journalist, and therefore I could just say whatever I want, and it's subjective, not objective, and I could just always hide behind this protection that a review is subjective, so if you don't agree with my review score, well, neener, it's just an opinion. No, that's called being lazy, irresponsible, and knowing that you're unprofessional, and therefore you hide yourself behind a guise of protection rather than actually working. Okay? I'm sorry, it's just what it is. Okay? So, I'm sorry, I don't care if IGN says 10 out of 10 isn't perfect. IGN can go fuck themselves. They don't change math because they're irresponsible journalists who have irresponsibly used 10 out of 10 over the years because they're idiots. 10 out of 10 is 100% and it means it's perfect. Alright? So, with The Last of Us 2, if it got reviewed a 10 out of 10, it means one of two things. Alright? It either means that the game is absolutely 100% perfect with zero flaws. Zero. Or it means that the game's journalists overinflated scores. It's one or the other. Okay? So, I mean, it's up to you as a purchaser, a gamer, an individual, consumer, to make that decision up for yourself, what you feel actually happened with The Last of Us 2. That's your call. Alright? But for me as an objective observer, I saw all the crap that happened with the game's plot leaking, 2 months in advance. And so many people being up in arms about Joel's death. And the fact, let's be honest, some people were up in arms that Ellie has a lesbian relationship in this game. And that Abby is a very buff, almost masculine-like woman. There was a transgender character in the game. A lot of idiots had issue with that. I had no issue with any of that. I didn't give a shit about any of that stuff. In fact, I am for more representation. All right, I am. I thought it was good that they actually had some variety in the game instead of it always being the generic shit of every other game. I didn't have any issue with any of that, you know. My issues were with the story, the pacing, the writing style, the overall really miserable tone to the game, and the fact that basically the entire game is just an exercise in misery. There's no reason to play it because there's no good outcome, and instead you just feel like shit for having played 30 hours of this game. That was my problems with the game. Nothing to do with any kind of a progressive push or agenda or anything like that at all. You know what I mean? Like, I think that was besides the point. In fact, the one transgender character in the game actually is interesting that they're in the game because it actually gives a good justification for why this cultish group that they're in would turn against them and how stupid that cult-like mentality can be when you blindly follow something with no justification just because you're told it's right or wrong without applying reason to it. How dumb life can be and how dumb people can be when they're in that mentality. I actually thought that was an interesting point, you know, about life in general. But I had major criticisms of the game that I've corroborated with factual evidence to back me up when I reviewed the game. And I didn't, you know, because of that, I felt the game was way less enjoyable and way, my God, a 10 out of 10? Just on a narrative basis. Someone who has studied, you know, literature, writing, storytelling, just on an academic level, I can tell you that The Last of Us 2 is not a 10 out of 10. It uses some of the worst pacing, convoluted tropes of time jumping to confuse you, to manipulate your emotions in a very convoluted and badly executed way. Even if you're the biggest lover of this game, you have to admit that having juxtaposed flashbacks with gory scenes from the present, it's meant to manipulate you in a cheap way. And you know what I mean? Like, I already justified all this in my review. I don't have to talk about it at length here this morning. But it's just so stupid the way that they did this. And the way that they say it's perfect is ludicrous, all right? So here's the thing. You look at the way The Last of Us 2 was reviewed last month, all right? And then you juxtapose that with the way that Ghost of Tsushima is being reviewed this month. And you would think that the entire process of reviews were completely different. Like, Last of Us 2, okay, well, let's see here. It's Neil Druckmann, and it's Naughty Dog. And we know we get early copies of games from these guys. We're really in the good graces of Sony. And, you know, oh my God, it's got a progressive narrative with a lesbian main character and a very non-stereotypical other female main character. It does something with the plot that's never been done before, where you basically play the villain for half the game, but then they humanize the villain. And you know what I mean? Like, they look at all these things, and instead of objectively reviewing the game based on entertainment value, quality of the game, which is what you should be doing, it's a fucking game. These games journalists judge it as being a work of art. Okay, well, artistically, it's nice. 10 out of 10. Wait, what? It's supposed to be a video game. It's not a fucking painting. Right? There's art elements to it. That doesn't mean you rate it perfectly because it did something different. That's what I really feel, is that when they all reviewed this game, okay, they reviewed it in light of it being different or artistic, and they were pushing an agenda. What was the agenda? Well, we want more artsy-fartsy games that you know, try to do something different, and we feel that if we kiss this game's butt, well, Sony and Naughty Dog are now going to like our ass, and they're going to send us everything else early so we can continue to get the early views, the clickbait garbage. You know, we can continue to have that good relationship with them. If we actually criticize this game, we jeopardize that relationship, and therefore we may not get early copy review anymore. We may not be invited to the press event. You know what I mean? And it's actually funny because I say that, and you think, oh, that's a conspiracy theory. Actually, no. There was actual factual evidence that this happened, because there were a couple outlets, and one of them that actually publicly talked about it was a what are they called? Vice. So they reviewed the game not overwhelmingly positively. Now, Vice doesn't give number scores to their games, but essentially they criticized The Last of Us 2 heavily. for a lot of the reasons that I've actually called out. I think there were a few other points that they had as well. All right. But they called them out in the review and said it's not a perfect game. Here's the flaws. Naughty Dog and Sony, I forget it was Sony or Naughty Dog, one or the other, contacted them behind the scenes and actually had the balls to ask them, why did you say negative things about our game? We don't agree with you. They actually said they gave them a copy of the game to objectively review it, and then when they objectively reviewed it, they were told, that's not right, you fucked up. Why did you do that? Like, it's like getting called into the principal's office. I heard that you've been doing some bad stuff, Jimmy. So what do you have to say for yourself, Jimmy? To which I guess the person from Vice was like, why am I getting this? And they basically wrote back and said, well, I thought in my review I had justified my points, but here's my points and here's my justification again. You know? And it's like, huh? Well, how could they do that? Now, by the way, where's the proof? It's all right there. It was covered. There were articles about it, but they were swept under the rug. The article I read was from Polygon covering this, but there's other news outlets that covered it. And guess what happened? Within one day, all those news articles were swept under the rug, and no one ever talked about it ever again. Like it never happened, even though it did. It's factually documented that Sony and Naughty Dog, or both, or whichever side, contacted basically people who got early copies, and they gave out not glaringly positive reviews and said, why did you do that? You know, how dare you? Which is ludicrous. And it's like I said back when The Last of Us 2 came out, sadly, these early copy reviews are meant now to be free advertising rather than objective reviews. They're not sending IGN, GameSpot, and these major outlets a copy of the game to say, please objectively review our game early. They're saying, please advertise our game for us for free. And if you don't give good advertisement for it, you might not get the next game. You might not be involved in 6 months of press events leading up to the release of the game so you have coverage for your website to bring you money. You see what I mean? It's sick. It's a fucked up, broken system. All right? So, Last of Us 2 had a lot to prove, being a game that, we're going to make a game that's not happy, it's miserable. We're going to make a game that pushes progressive agendas, having a lesbian as the main character, having a not stereotypically feminine female as the other main character who's actually one of the villains, but now you get to know her and humanize her. We're going to have a transgender character. We're going to have all this, and we really need to push this agenda, guys, so give our games a good review. And then people who didn't basically got yelled at and screamed at and disciplined, talked to like little children by Big Papa Sony after they did that. So here we are a month later, Ghost of Tsushima comes out, and it's a completely different situation. Oh, Ghost of Tsushima is not perfect because of this and this and this. 7 out of 10. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Whoa. A month ago, you said Last of Us 2 is 10 out of 10, and you criticized it but gave it a 10 out of 10. This month, this game has some flaws, 7 out of 10. Wait, what? How does that work? Exactly. I mean, like, huh? That's what I don't understand. That's really what I don't understand, is how the media can treat what's supposed to be the same process as a different process and just completely change the whole methodology of how they go about it. It's fucked up, in my opinion, you know? It is, because I'm not saying I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, but all I'm doing is objectively reading one review versus another. And when you read one review and you read another, and they read almost exactly the same for two different kinds of game, and one says 10 out of 10 and one says 7 out of 10, there's a problem. Because people believe that. People read it, they believe it. Half the people won't even read the fucking review. They just look at the number score because they're lazy. So now you have people who think that innately Last of Us 2 is way better than Ghost of Tsushima because you had an agenda last month when you reviewed that game so over the top. You wanted to protect your money-making source in Sony and Naughty Dog, and you wanted to push a game that had an agenda, right? So you could seem like you're part of this giant force for, you know, liberal thought and progressive thought in games, which I don't mind. Again, I didn't mind the progressive themes and the progressive characters in Last of Us 2. I found it refreshing, but not at the expense of ruining an industry, where now you're going to say that a game that's actually good isn't, or a game that isn't good is, to push your fucking agenda so that you can continue to get favoritistic treatment. That is ridiculously unacceptable, in my opinion. So that's at least my take on it. And it's pretty it pisses me off, man. It pisses me off because literally right this moment, people are saying, "Oh, Ghost of Tsushima is nowhere near as good as Last of Us 2, bro." See, I told you, man. It's like, wait, what? No. In fact, it might be much better of a game, but the people reviewed it differently, and now we're just supposed to fucking believe it as, you know, it's 8 versus a 10, so it's better. It's like, wait, what? But it's not. But they had an agenda. So that's what pisses me off. And of course, then you get the fanboys coming out. Oh, you just didn't like the progressive tones of Last of Us 2. You can't stand it because you're sexist or you're bigoted or you're this or you're that. Like, you're a fucking idiot. You actually didn't watch me play the game. You didn't watch me review the game. You're a moron who lives by this narrative that if someone doesn't like something you loved, it's because they're a bigot or it's because they're ignorant. No, it's because you're a fucking moron and you don't take 5 seconds to look outside of your own bubble of people who all sucked the game's butt for the past month, who are saying it's the best game ever, to see that there's a large group of people out there who actually didn't like it for very valid reasons with justification. Okay? But it pisses me off that in 2020, I've been doing this for 12 years, the game media never improved. In fact, it's getting worse. In my opinion, it's literally getting worse and worse the further we get in. This reminds me of the Halo ODST situation. Okay? Halo ODST. Anyone remember that game? I reviewed it over 10 years ago. It was one of the worst games I'd ever played at that point. It was sold as a fully priced game when it had about content that was about half of a retail game. The plot was terrible. All right? And really, it was basically an overpriced expansion pack for Halo 3. And it was a joke. And I ripped it a new asshole. And at the time, I was praised for being one of the voices on the internet who was not giving another Halo game a ginormously overinflated score for the fact that they just want to overinflate it to probably be, at that point, in Microsoft and Bungie's good graces, right? By the way, I'm not saying that Halo sucks by any means at all. If you remember, Halo Reach, I really liked. I thought Halo Reach was quite a good game. Halo 3 in particular, I played the shit out of that when it came out as an earlier title for the Xbox 360. But Halo ODST was a scam. It was, let's milk $60 out of our fucking fans, you know? And the game reviewers were reviewing it, no lie, 8 to 10 out of 10. Even though the game was terrible. It was so short. It was such a fucking ripoff. But because at that point, we got to be in Microsoft and Bungie's good graces, it was kiss that ass over and over. This is the same situation. It's not fair that Last of Us 2 got overinflated scores. Now, every other game this year will actually be reviewed fairly, but they'll all have less than 10 out of 10, and everyone will just say Last of Us 2 is the best game of the year by default because it got better scores on an aggregate scale from the trusted, approved journalistic sources. Fuck all that shit. Now, the thing is, a lot of people are very smart, and they know better. They know not to trust these bullshit mainstream review scores. They know that they're horse shit. And then they go out and they watch their favorite independent content creators play a game or review a game. And that's who they trust. And that's the best recommendation I could give to any of you. If there's someone out there that you like to watch play a game, there's someone out there that you trust, and you feel that they give a fair shake on a game, that's who you should trust. I'm going to forewarn all of you right now about something. Okay? There's a lot of content creators out there that get this stuff early, and they make giant bank on that. All right? They'll get a game 2 weeks early. They actually film their entire playthrough of that game early. They know they're making thousands of dollars on that playthrough. They know it. They know that when they release that playthrough or eventually when they stream early, they know they're making bank. So they're either going to withhold their negative criticisms of the game for review embargo purposes, or they're just not going to say anything negative about the game because they want to make money. And when they push a game positively, they get better viewership and more ongoing repeat views than if they say a game is not so good. So, for example, with The Last of Us Part 2, there's a lot of people who just literally played the game and kissed its ass constantly, despite the fact that they didn't actually like the horrific gore and the things that were in it, because they felt, if I just keep saying it's good, people will keep coming out. And they did that, and they made tons of money, thousands of dollars, all right? So understand that if you're going to find someone who's going to be someone to trust, you got to find someone who, oh my God, getting that early copy of the game and putting out that playthrough early, that's my life's blood, and that's how I make my business model, right? You can't depend on that because those people are not trustworthy. I'm not saying all of them, I'm just saying, how can you trust someone who literally the reason that they make money is because they get a game early and they play it before everybody else, right? How? You can't. That's going to, you know what I mean? That's going to be someone who innately has a bias installed in them to say a game is good so they continue to get that advantageous treatment, you know? So, and by the way, you notice I'm not saying trust me. You don't have to trust me. I'm saying just find someone out there who's legit someone who enjoys games, cares about you as a viewer, and wants to be honest with you. And it's not just me. There's lots of people out there like that who are these big wig idiots who get the fucking game so early and make ridiculous money off of it. You can't. That's really the two problems of this industry are journalists who don't take it seriously and at a whim will skew a score for their own personal benefit and then hide under the guise of, oh, it's a subjective opinion so I can say whatever I want. Or content creators / influencers who get a game early and then bank big on getting that game early and completely don't give you any kind of legitimacy to what they're doing, no real valid criticism because they're making money, so why would they bother? They want that continuation, right? So that's my opinion. That's my take on the whole situation. I read these reviews for Ghost of Tsushima, and I'm like, these are good reviews. I wish we could have had these reviews for Last of Us 2 last month, because then we wouldn't have the situation we're in where everyone's kissing the game's ass and sucking its butt for a month. And, you know, maybe come the end of this year, we'd actually be able to balance games properly on what was good and what wasn't. Instead, what we're going to have is at the end of this year, you're going to have Last of Us 2 is the best game of the year no matter what because everyone reviewed it 10 out of 10 and everything else was under it. And that's bullshit. That's seriously bullshit. Oh, excuse me. Okay. So, folks, that's my opinion. You can disagree with it, and that's okay. That's my take on the situation. I'm very much looking forward to Ghost of Tsushima this coming Friday. I'm hoping that it actually is, as the reviews say, that it's a return to the old school assassination gameplay that we've missed now for years and years, that there's beautiful visuals and graphics, great gameplay elements, tons of content. I think that'll end up being one of my favorite games. If it lives up to what people said about it, I do actually feel that that'll be one of my better games or favorite games of the year. But again, can we trust what we've heard? I don't know. I guess we'll see come Friday. All right, I'm very excited for this playthrough now just because of this. Okay. Alrighty then. All right, well, guys, that's all I had to talk about. So I guess we can get to shout-outs now. Okay. Let's see here. I have to scroll all the way down. Of course, we got a bunch of people bitching like little children in my stream chat, even though this is my stream and you know I talk about this stuff on pre-stream. So I just laugh at all of you and say you're fucking idiots. If you're sitting here and you're just going to bitch about every time I have an opinion or something to say, maybe you shouldn't be on my stream. Maybe you should go be on some shill stream who's, you know, sucking the butt. If that's what you want, go suck some butt. You don't have to be on my stream, right? Suck some more butt somewhere else. If that's really what you want, if you just want to eat the bullshit constantly, then go suck some bullshit out of someone's ass on another stream. If you just like getting crapped on constantly by everyone and not being taken seriously, then go ahead. I value my viewers and their time, and I would never overinflate a game for personal benefit. So that's why if I feel like talking like this is beneficial to my viewing audience, I'll do it. But if you got a problem with that, don't sit in the stream and bitch like a little child because you're on someone's stream who has an opinion that's informed. Okay? Sorry. If you want to just be a brainless idiot, go suck some butt somewhere else. Eat the bullshit. Enjoy. Have a nice hearty helping. Fill your plate. There's a lot of it out there you can have. Really. Okay then. Alright, so let's get to shoutouts. Oh, let's see here. Only Iced Coffee cheered yesterday when I was on break, and he said, "Good evening. I hope you and your wife are having an amazing day." You know, we had a good day. There's some disappointments there, as I've already outlined on the pre-stream here today, but in general, it was a good day off. So thank you for that. And also, Golden Colts cheered yesterday as well, which was very nice. Now let's get, excuse me, let's now get to today and shout-outs for today. Last Rambo resubscribed for 11 months this morning, and he said, "We played Ghost of Tsushima in the Kurosawa mode. This is a special mode with a black and white film grain to mimic old samurai films of Akira Kurosawa and adjust the audio to make it sound older with increased wind sound." As cool as that sounds, no. Number one, as I said, I'm not a movie buff when it comes to these samurai films. I've never actually seen one of these films. So I feel that it would be lost on me. I really do. And then in addition, I obviously want to see the full-on color and graphics and everything of the game. It seems to me like if you're playing it in that old style, that's, if you love those movies and you want to have an homage to them, great. I'm all for that. But it wouldn't prove any benefit. In fact, for me, it would feel like a detriment to be watching it, you know, without the full-fledged beauty of the graphics and everything. See? So I will not be doing that. But it's nice that that mode's in there for those kind of movie buffs. Okay? Joker Jonesy resubscribed for 9 months. He said, "I'm glad to be here for all these years. Is there a genre of game you want to explore more? I'd love to see you take on digital tabletop gaming more in some way. It would be fun for chill streams." I wasn't even aware that digital tabletop gaming was a thing. Like, I'm well aware that Warhammer 40K and all of that exists. But I wasn't aware. Maybe what you're talking about is more like card games, like maybe, you know, Magic the Gathering and the like. I've never played a game like that because I don't even know how to play Magic the Gathering. But yeah, like, I'm not aware. I mean, and again, that's probably more my ignorance than anything else. I'm fairly sure these games exist. I just it's like, you know, you might as well speak Greek because I've never played one of them. No one really has ever talked to me about them, nor have I ever been exposed to that whole kind of a genre. So you're right. Maybe that's one that if I ever got into it, right? If I ever got into it, maybe I would enjoy it because it's something different. I don't know. You know, there's several genres of games that I never really got into. Sports, almost never. Sport games is like once in a blue moon. I'll play an NBA 2K or, you know what I mean? But it's like, MLB ended up being a cool ongoing series for a while there. It was kind of a chill series, chill gaming, and people liked it. But again, even then, I don't do that every year. So I would say that. And of course, let's face it, driving, racing, that kind of stuff. Number one, I suck ass at it. Any game that has a driving element, usually I'm terrible at it. And number two, because I play it so rarely that when I finally do play one of these games, you know, it ends up being more hilarious for all the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Maybe if I played more driving games and racing games in general, I'd get better at them. I don't know. But I'd say that was another one. Now, you guys would probably know better than me. If there's a genre of game out there that I've never touched or I rarely touched, and you'd be interested in seeing it, by all means, let me know. You know, again, I'm the ignorant guy who really doesn't know any better. And you guys have actually, over the years, just with things like the Viewer's Choice events and things like that, my God, you guys have opened my eyes to so much that I never even knew existed. The Yakuza franchise, the Persona franchise, right? These are things I never touched. I played on, like, wow, these are amazingly fun and great, and I'm glad that you guys got me into those. So, hey, anything I'm missing, I'm all ears, okay? Okay, Shirtless Mofo did a 1,000-bit cheer and say Costco muffins, yes. Thank you, Shirtless Mofo. The Costco muffins are quite good. I'm actually looking forward to more this week before they go bad. And thank you for a 1,000-bit cheer to get stuff started today. That's very generous of you. Thank you for that. Wograin, cheers. I've seen a lot of people a bit negative to the Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailers. Actually, I have too. Let's see what he has to say here. They say the name Assassin's Creed does not belong in the game anymore. Furthermore, the release date is 2 days before Cyberpunk, the most anticipated game of the year for many. So what do you think of the criticism? What do you think about the close release date? First of all, we've been saying that for the past 2 games, right? When Origins came out, and then again when Odyssey came out. I said these are great games, but maybe they shouldn't be called Assassin's Creed because let's face it, they barely have any tie to the Assassin's Creed franchise anymore. It seems like when there's a present day character or plot line, it's like 1/40th of the game and it's wedged in there just to pretend like this game has some kind of an association with the mainstream Assassin's Creed plotline, and instead maybe these should have been just standalone games that weren't called Assassin's Creed. But let's face it, Ubisoft wanted that name recognition so people would rush out and pre-order and buy them. If they just made a new franchise like this, who knows if anyone would have bought it, right? Now, we talked about that the last 2 games. We did. We said, wow, I guarantee you that there's people out there that are so furious because they love the old school Assassin's Creed stuff, and it's not in those games. And Valhalla, apparently people are saying exactly the same thing. They're saying the game looks very similar to Assassin's Creed Odyssey, doesn't have many changes to it, and therefore if you liked Odyssey, you're really going to like this game, but don't look for too much more outside of what people are already, promised or said about, what Odyssey had. It's basically going to be kind of the same kind of game. To which I say, hey, if you liked Odyssey, great. Hey, Odyssey was 2 years ago. I really liked Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm welcoming more of the same in a different setting. Sounds good to me. But there's some people who might want more than that, and they're going to be disappointed because, again, people just want that old school Assassin's Creed. Maybe we're going to get that on Friday with Ghost of Tsushima. We're going to find out. Okay? As for the release date, I think Ubisoft, number one, maybe, they already had that release date in place for a long time. If you remember, Cyberpunk just recently delayed their game until November. And so maybe that was a shock for Ubisoft because they're like, shit, we were already releasing in November, but that's our release window. We can't release any earlier than that. And we don't want to push our game all the way into December because let's face it, almost never do you have a major AAA game that's released in December. Usually they want to get out there in November so people who are Christmas shopping will be able to buy, the Black Friday deals and shit. They want to get that game out in time for that so they can be a part of that wave of buying for Christmas, right? So, I mean, we could look at this 2 different ways. We could look at it objectively, or we could look at it kind of streetwise common sense. Objectively, Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Cyberpunk are going to be very different games. All right, they're not even close. They're one's first person, one's third person. One's set in in historical times. One's in a futuristic time. They're going to have different tones. Seems like Cyberpunk's going to be way more adult-oriented, almost like a GTA-style deal, while Valhalla is going to be more in line with what we had in Odyssey. So, you may, on paper, say, it's not going to affect it that much. But let's be real here. Like you just said, Cyberpunk's one of the most hyped games of the year, or the hyped games of the last few years. And it's probably going to take precedence that when that game comes out, it's all anyone's going to talk about. It's all anyone's going to want to play. And even for me, I'll probably play Assassin's Creed Valhalla for 2 days, as much as I can. Play the heck out of it. And then when Cyberpunk comes out, that's going to be the main gameplay stream, and Valhalla will end up being like a night stream, So, yeah, I do feel it's going to hurt it. All right, I do. So I guess we'll see what happens. I don't know if Assassin's Creed will retain that release date or not. I would almost guarantee you Ubisoft is now pressuring their release staff to say, can you make it even earlier? Can we push this game out 2 weeks earlier? Right? Which is fucked up. They don't have enough crunch at Ubisoft. But they're probably pushing even more crunch now. But I don't know. I guess we'll see. Melia Best Girl tipped $1.50 and said, what do you think happened with Pixel Buster and Nitamata? I have no clue what on earth you just said. What the hell is Pixel Buster and Nitamata? I've never heard of it. So I guess the answer is I don't have any thoughts on what happened because I don't know what you're talking about. Zero idea. Prez Vegeta resubscribed for 2 months in a row, 6 total. So when am I going to get my Jumping Flash remake? Good question. I have no idea if they'll ever care about Jumping Flash again. Kurosawa Kid here says, good to hear you back. Having a long, stressful day at work. You helped me get through it. Awesome. Sounds good. Wow, listen to this. This is funny. I tipped Phil 1 by 30. Tipped me $1.30. He says, you know, with those 10 out of 10 review scores for Last of Us 2, in game journalist defense, the game might have actually been pretty awesome if you skip all the cutscenes on your early review copy so that you can rush back to Twitter and continue to call people Nazis. So yeah, if you skipped the terrible story of the game, so you could go insult people on Twitter constantly, then maybe the game would have been much better. I even told you guys, I know this is a joke, by the way, I'm not being serious, but I even said, if I were to replay the game, like let's say The Last of Us 3 gets announced, and people are like, you should replay The Last of Us 2 before 3. I'm not even kidding, I'm probably just going to skip all the cutscenes. I'm just going to play the game and enjoy the gameplay, the graphics and everything, and skip every cutscene because they're that bad. It's just so shitty. Okay. Kurosawa Kid Cheer, he says, 100% doesn't mean perfect. Wrong. I don't even need to read the rest of this. Because it's wrong. 10 out of 10 means 100%. 100% means 100% quality. Without a flaw. Whole. Perfect. That's what it means. Mathematically, that's what it means. I don't need to read your subjective interpretation of how to reinterpret math. I know that 10 out of 10 is a perfect review score, and I don't even need to read the rest of your fucking share. Colton Jr. Chitty says, have you ever gotten 100 on your academic written test in elementary school? I'm sure it wasn't. Oh, wait. He says, have you never gotten 100 on your academic written test in elementary school? I'm sure it wasn't, but the review system is supposed to be based on that sort of ideology. You mean, did I ever get 100 on a test? Yes. Do you want to know why I got 100 on a test? Because I answered every question perfectly with the correct answer. Okay, here we go. I didn't actually answer 9 out of 10 questions correct, but the teacher said, well, you know, as a person overall, you're a good experience, and, you know, even though you only got 9 out of 10 questions correct, I'm just going to give you 100% on this test anyway. That's never happened to me. I actually had to earn all of the points on any test I ever took. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I actually had to earn every single point on any academic test I ever took. It's almost like math applies to reviewing things in the academic world. Why it doesn't actually apply to games journalism, I have no idea. But in the academic world, I actually had to earn the points that I got in school. So there you go. Okay. Kurosawa Kid Shoes, I can count on one hand how many games have representation of marginalized groups. I agree with you. I agree having them in a game doesn't make it a good game. Okay. It doesn't mean there's an agenda. It's just a bad game with representation, which is okay. That's fine. I totally agree with that statement. And that's what I mean. Like, when people tell me that The Last of Us 2 is a good game because it has representation, I say, you missed the whole point. You know? I'm happy it has representation. I like that, but that doesn't mean it's a great game just because it has it. So I think on this point, we actually agree. Kurosawa Kid cheered again. He said, using terms like factual or objective instead of admitting it's an opinion is a dishonest as reviewers in the pocket of gaming industry. It's okay to have an opinion, but you're not being factual just because you feel that way. I didn't say that my opinion was objective. I didn't say that. I said I use objective reasoning and facts when I review a game. It's still a review by the end of the day. It's still an opinion at the end of the day. There's no such thing as a 100% objective review. But also saying that you can't have objective facts in a review or objective facts can't weigh a review is ludicrous. Like, if you have a review that has negative points, this game could be better if it had this or this in it, but then you give it a 10 out of 10, your review is actually factually, objectively wrong. You can't say a game is perfect and then say it has flaws. You can't give a test a 100% grade when 9 out of the 10 questions are correct and 1 is wrong. It's not 100%. I'm sorry. That's facts. That's math. That's science. How can you refute it? Emotion absolutely has a factor in game reviews, but you can't refute facts with emotions. You can't. When you start refuting facts with emotions, you've lost all logical sense, and you can't ever make a fair judgment on anything anymore. D-Man11 resubscribed for 2 months. He says, how are you today? I am doing good. I'm excited to go back into Deadly Premonition in just a few minutes here. Thanks for the resub. The Last Rambo cheer, he says, if you overcame your financial burden and had the financial support of your fans, would you consider continuing Project 7? No. Project 7's done. Project 7 has been done for a ridiculously long time. I'm not rebooting it. I'm not continuing it. Ever. In the future, if somehow I could finance a creative series or something, I would do it, and I did it, I would do something completely new. But I can tell you right now, it's insanely unlikely to ever happen. Now I'm not even a YouTube creator anymore. I'm a live streamer. I'm not going to live stream a creative series. Okay? Gerard Crow cheers that all reviews are someone's subjective opinion, informed by objective facts. I actually agree with this. Even what the score means is subjective. What? Whoa. I agree with the first half of your statement. The second half of your statement went to absurd lunacy. A numerical score is subjective. No, a numerical score is math. Math is not subjective. 10 is not 10 today and 9 tomorrow. A 10 is a 10. Oh my god. Why is everyone on this planet so fucking wishy-washy about shit? Why do we all give everyone a pass on everything? Then nothing means anything. If you never hold anyone to a critical standard, you will never have improvement. You will never have people who take their job seriously because they'll feel that no matter what they put out there, they can say, opinion, and now they're protected. That's ludicrous. A 10 is a 10 today, it's a 10 tomorrow, and it's a 10 yesterday. It doesn't become a 9. So when you say game's a 10 out of 10, that's 100%. That's 100% today, 100% tomorrow, and 100% yesterday. It doesn't change. You can't say that a score is subjective. That's insanity. Oh my god. Oh. I'm getting a headache. I'm getting a headache. Gerard Crow, if this is what you think, I don't think I can help you. I would love in an academic setting to argue this with a teacher. Argue this with a professor and be like, nah, you see? Today this is perfect, but yesterday it's not. You see, you say that this score of 50 out of 100 is bad, but for me that's good. Subjectively, I think that's pretty good. In regards to how dumb I am, I got half right, so I should pass the class. And then they fail your ass anyway because that's stupid. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Yikes. Big Papa Sony took $4.20 says you make me angry. Well, I'm very sorry, Big Papa Sony. My intention was not to anger you. And I'm very sorry about that. But sometimes the truth hurts. What else can I say? The Tarantula MS 2018 tipped $5. That's actually the biggest tip of the day. Let me get him on the leaderboard. I forgot I wasn't even putting anyone on the leaderboard for tips. My bad. That's my fault. I got all worked up here. All right, let's get Tarantula up on the leaderboard. So that gets us up to $11 in tips so far. Thank you, everybody. And Tarantula says the following. I've stopped pre-ordering any type of game ever since I pre-ordered Homefront and Fallout 76. I typically wait for deals on Xbox Live and PSN. I have over 200 games I haven't played. I've paid less than people who pre-order the games. And that's the thing. If you don't care about day one hype, and of course, if you can find yourself able to avoid rampant story spoilers for big games, and you're a savvy consumer, man, can you save money. A lot of these games, within 2-3 months, they're half price. So just because you didn't rush to play them at launch, you can end up, saving yourself a pretty penny. There's a lot of places out there. There's this guy who covers this kind of stuff. His name's Cheap Ass Gamer. And man, he finds really good deals on a daily basis of how to save a lot of money on games. And by the way, I'm not plugging the guy or anything. I'm just saying, there's services out there that do a really good job of saving consumers money. And if you can use some self-control, all right, and not rush out to buy games day one, you can really get stuff for really on the cheap. So I have to play everything at launch because everyone wants to see me play games at launch. But outside of that, if I were not a content creator, I'd probably be doing the same thing. Golden Cold Cheers. This cheer sponsored by Arizona Arnold Palmer Lemonade Iced Tea. Well, there you go. Sounds good. I like Arizona Arnold Palmer Lemonade Iced Tea. Tastes great. Anani. No, Anowin? I think this person wanted to put anonymous, and they spelled it Anowin. They tipped $1.30. They said, speaking of franchises and genres, what would you say is your favorite since leaving the Street Fighter community? My favorite genre since completely leaving Street Fighter. Oh, man. It's a tough one. I I mean, From Software games have given me quite a lot of pain, but also a lot of feeling of accomplishment and enjoyment and a lot of content for the internet. um, so has games from the Yakuza franchise and now the Judgment franchise. Persona franchise is quite good. I'm just trying to think of things I've consistently played over the years and gone back to. And I would say at one point it was Assassin's Creed. But now Assassin's Creed has changed so differently. Can you even say it's the same thing because you continue to play the games, you know? I would say BioShock and the Mass Effect franchise were very big last console gen. They died completely this console gen, right? But last console gen, those were huge. I'm just trying to think. I can't, nothing else really coming to mind. That's my immediate answer. If I had time to look back at all the stuff that I've done, I'd probably be able to have a better answer for you. Gerard Croce he said, he didn't say a test. He said a written essay for an English class. Yes, that's a test. Where there's not factual answer sheet, but the teacher is having to make a judgment call as to whether you understood the material. That's still a test, and it's looking for objectivity. Like, oh my God, how do people not understand this? All right, if you're taking an English test and you're writing an essay, here's what the teacher's looking for. Grammatical structure to sentences, not run-on sentences. Correct structure in your paragraphs and the way that you say things. Yes, there's also content of the paragraph, but there's many objective facts that go into grading. Why do I get the feeling none of you have ever taught or ever even researched teaching? Because how do you not understand this? That just because you're in an English class, 100% of the stuff in the class isn't subjective. That's ludicrous. That would be like saying, if you're in an English class and your teacher tells you to write an essay, and the teacher just doesn't like the subject matter of your essay, you get a 0. What? No. Even, you know what I mean? Like, let's say, for example, the teacher doesn't like video games. So you write a very good, well-written essay, informed essay about video games. He gives you a 0. Oh, I don't like that subject matter. What? That's not what happens. I'm not even going to bother. And then Gerard Croce cheered again. Stop reading half a cheer. Respond to the whole thing. No, because I get to the first part of your cheer so ludicrous, there's no point in continuing. You're wasting my time. Last Rambo cheered. He says, why is Code Vein disqualified from viewer's choice? Because I've already answered, or already explained, that there's certain games that I'm just not interested in playing, or people have agendas behind pushing me to play them. And I don't want to play that game, and there's an agenda behind people pushing me to play it. Just like I said, there were other games there, like Street Fighter V. People want to see me play and suffer in this game that I already hate and have told you guys a million times I'm not going to fucking play it. So people keep trying to pretend like they're going to nominate. Nah, fuck that. I'm not playing that game. So that's why. There's certain things that are not eligible, and it says right there in the thread it explains. So he says, speaking of which, everyone should go vote for Metroid Prime 2. Hey, I'm all for that. I own the collection. I believe it's on the Wii. It's either the Wii or the Wii U. I own the collection. So, sure. Sundance McGee cheered. He says, I've gone to bed with someone who's a 10. In the morning, they're a 3. Well, that's your own subjective opinion, I guess. ATS 318 did a $1.30 tip and says, I wonder if changing the rating system to out of 5 would help the situation, because as of right now, a 5 out of 10 does not mean a middle-of-the-road game like it should. Maybe shrinking the scale would help. What do you think? I just think people need to fucking hold people accountable for what they say in these reviews. And stop saying, oh, 5 out of 10 doesn't mean 50%. Yes, it does. That's exactly what it means. That's why when I reviewed Last of Us 2 5 out of 10, and I said the gameplay elements, the graphic design, the world design, the music, the voiceovers, everything there is amazing. 100% on that side. But the story is the other half of the game. The story is a 0. The game is 5 out of 10. That made sense. It was an objective review. You see what I mean? Was there subjective things in there? Yes. But if you follow my reasoning, you can understand why I gave it a 5 out of 10. Does that mean the game is the worst game ever and you shouldn't play it? No. In fact, if you played the first game and you want to see really vastly improved gameplay elements and a great world design, you should play the game. But I hate the story, and chances are, if you're like me, you're going to hate the story too. That's the point I'm trying to say in my review. So, just because I gave it 5 out of 10 doesn't mean it's the worst game of the year. It just means that I weighed things properly instead of having this pansy-like mentality of, oh my God, if I give it a 5, it means it's the worst game of the year because people are stupid. And they think that. I can't make people not be stupid. Let's see here. Kurosawa Kid Charity said, you believe there's a better scoring system that allows something like a 10 out of 10, but doesn't mean it's entirely without problems? Yeah, it's called don't rate it a 10 out of 10. That's what it's called. It's called stop overinflating scores for hype purposes, so you can get... here's why they do it, because then Naughty Dog can quote them in their advertisement for the game and say, look at all these outlets that gave the game a 10 out of 10. But if you actually read the review, the game says the game's not perfect, so they claim that the review's still valid, even though in reality it's not, because they lied. You see? They want to be in the good graces of Naughty Dog and Sony while still claiming that they have some kind of journalistic integrity when in reality they don't. Because then they'll argue review scores don't mean anything. Well, then that means your reviewing is nothing, which means you're worthless as an outlet and we don't need to ever read you. And so you should just shut down your business. Okay, then. Master Programmer did 100-bit cheers. What's your favorite technique to solve integrals? Mine is trigonometric substitution. Mine is bashing my head against the book until I fall asleep. Hubbity Hoop tipped the dollars. The scores are objective in a way. A 10 out of 10 from Polygon isn't the same as a 10 out of 10 from a source that you trust more. Well, that's true, but sadly, that's not for what you're saying. You're saying you would, if you have someone like an independent content creator you trust and it gives the game a 10 out of 10, you trust it more than Polygon. That's true, but the reasoning is because Polygon is, I don't know. I don't want to say this because I don't want to talk shit about Polygon, but specifically I don't have evidence of it. But people tend to distrust the mainstream review sources now because they've done such a shitty job. That's the point I'm making, is if they were actually more professional, maybe people would trust them, and we wouldn't have this controversial topic today, but we can't trust them because they constantly pull this shit. Phil's stinky teacher tipped $1.30. He says, math is subjective. Oh, boy. 5 ice cubes plus 5 ice cubes is a puddle of water. Your grade is subjective as well. 10 out of 10 is an A+. All right, I don't even know what the hell this is. But anyway, that's another $1 tip. Insanity. I can't believe people don't think math is objective. How bad are we as a game community that we've been so desensitized to very, very, very unprofessional reviews with no responsibility behind them that we don't believe math is objective anymore. We actually think math is subjective because people have done their job poorly for the past 20 years. That's pretty bad. Gerard Crow, here we go again. Charity says, you can believe a 10 out of 10 means a game is completely flawless. At the end of the day, that's your opinion. Someone else might think 10 out of 10 means a game is close to perfect as you can get. I don't care. That's their opinion. They could have it. It's still wrong because 10 out of 10 means perfect, 100%. So you could say, I think 10 means 9. Well, it doesn't. You could think that because you're stupid, but 10 will never mean 9. 10 will always mean 10, and you'll always be stupid. An anonymous tipper tipped me $1.30 and said, do you think out of five scales would work better instead of the wide variety of 10? No, it would be the same. It would be the same. It's never gonna, these numerical scales, as long as people don't objectively use them and they hide behind the guise of subjectivity, none of the scales will ever be good or matter. Okay? All right. All right, guys, let's do some shout-outs. Thank you to the top cheerers of the week. We've got India Superpower and Mr. Barbavera tied for 9th place. We got Dat Natural Urban 8th. I Killed Phil in 7th. Crabcock in 6th. Only Iced Coffee tied with Zuzang Lang for 4th. Mature Adult in 3rd. Kurosawa Kid in 2nd. And Shirtless Mofo actually way ahead of everyone else in 1st. Also, thank you to those who've gifted subscriptions this month, including Shylabut, Only Iced Coffee, and Lunaba. Thank you guys for the support. I appreciate that very much. Excuse me. And I appreciate that. All right. Very quickly, I'm just going to go take a leak. And then we're going to get started. Actually, I got to go downstairs. I just realized I got to go downstairs and grab the Switch. My wife's still using it to play Animal Crossing this morning. So I'm going to quickly take a leak and grab the Switch. And then we're going to start up with the game. I'll play like a song in the interim, but I'm going to be right back. It shouldn't be too long here. And like I said, with Deadly Premonition 2, we got 2 side quests I'm going to be trying to trading in. And then we're going to try to focus in on the story today. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you. I'll be back in just a minute. Thanks for the support. I'll see you in a sec.